The title of your book is called An Unfinished Love Story. So I want to know, what's the unfinished part? Is it the love story between you and Dick, or is it between Dick and American history? What do you mean by unfinished?
No, good question, because I think it is more than my finishing the promise I made to him that I would finish the book. It was more than that. It's the unfinished story of America. I mean, Dick and I both believed so much in the ideals of the country and tried to work to bring us closer to the ideals. He through actual work and me through writing about the presidents who I think had brought us closer to our ideals. And it's always an unfinished experiment. And it's like a relay race. You know, you go forward and then you go backwards, then you go forward and backwards. And so it's the unfinished promise of America as well as our love story.
Let's rewind a little bit, because the 60s, you had not even met Dick yet. So you actually were a historian, because you were looking back at his life before you had met him. So let's go to where you guys met in Harvard, right? 1972.
Correct.
Take us back to that moment.
Yeah, I was a young assistant professor at Harvard at the time, and I had already worked for Lyndon Johnson and helped him on his memoirs. And I was at the Institute of Politics, where my government office was, which was right across from Holyoke Center. It was a yellow house. And we heard that Dick Goodwin was coming. He'd been given an office there by the Kennedys. And we all sort of knew we were nerds. We knew who he was, we heard he was brash and arrogant and brilliant, but interesting. So I was in my office, and he suddenly plops in, and he sits down on a chair for one of the two teas, and he says, "So, you're a graduate student, right?" I said, No, I'm an assistant professor, and I went through all my categories of presumed titles, and he knew all the time. He knew I'd worked for LBJ, and we started talking, and we talked that afternoon. We talked at dinner, and it was a conversation that never ended for the rest of our lives.